everyone, and welcome to the third part of my video tutorial about the piano pedals. In the first part I showed you the mechanism and the functions of the sustain pedal and the soft pedal, while in the second part I explained the main pedaling techniques. Today we're going to talk about using the pedals depending on the style of the composer. Of course, this is a very complex subject, so I'll try to be as concise as possible and emphasize only the main musical styles and the appropriate pedaling techniques. One more thing before starting. In this video I'm going to use terms such as the delayed pedal, the simultaneous pedal or the half pedal. And if you don't know the meaning of these terms, make sure you watch the second part of my video tutorial about the piano pedals, where I explain and demonstrate these techniques. So, let's begin. Baroque music, including Johann Sebastian Bach's music, should be played with pedal. All great piano teachers, including the Russian piano professor Heinrich Negauss, agree with this. I'm sure you all know that the Baroque music that we play on the piano nowadays was in fact written for different types of harpsichords or for the organ. Even if the harpsichord does not have the wide range of expressive possibilities of the piano, it has no dampers, so its sound vibrates more and lasts longer than the sound of the piano. That's why we need to use the pedal when playing music written for the harpsichord, but we need to use it in a very smart, very careful way, without blurring the melodic line and without gluing incompatible sounds and harmonies. Let me give you an easy example, the prelude in C major number 1 from the Well-Tempered Clavier. Here we need to use the delayed pedaling technique, but we have to make sure at the same time that we change the pedal accurately on each new harmony, without gaps and without blurring the sounds. In the polyphonic pieces, the pedal is very important as well. Often pressing the sustain pedal in a short, carefully controlled manner can help us make a very good legato when our fingers alone cannot connect certain notes. The pedal can also emphasize the outline of a certain rhythmical structure or articulation mark. However, we should be very careful, change the pedal very often and not keep it pressed all the time. We need to use it only in certain places for creating certain effects. So we should really activate our hearing and keep it sharp when playing polyphonic pieces. As an example, I will play the beginning from the prelude in F sharp minor from the Well-Tempered Clavier, and you can notice how I use the sustain pedal. The same thing can be said about Bach's organ music. You all know that the organ sound is very deep, powerful, and it lasts for as long as we keep the key pressed. So how can we imitate such a sound without using the sustain pedal? Before playing on the piano one of my favorite organ works by Johann Sebastian Bach, let's hear first the original played on the organ. I will play the same fragment on the piano, and the sustain pedal will help me to imitate as best as possible the sonority of the organ. Also use the half pedal technique, which I describe in my previous article on pianocareer.com, for sustaining the bass note while keeping the high register the notes in the high register as detached and transparent as possible. As you see in playing Bach's clavier music and other pieces written by Baroque composers, we need to use the sustain pedal not only for making the sound last longer, but also for enriching the sonority of the piano, for changing the timbre of our instrument and for creating a wide diversity of sound colors. In playing the music written by the French harpsichordists, for example, Lully, Couperin, Rameau, and also the early classics, Haydn and Mozart, we should again use the pedal carefully, sparingly, only in certain places, depending of course on the character of the music. And we should also remember that our sonority when playing classical music should always remain clear, transparent, sometimes even sharp when necessary. Let me give you two examples and show you how we can change our pedaling depending on the character of the played music. Both examples are from Mozart's sonatas. Now I'll play a fragment with a light, sparkling character from the sonata in B-flat major, Köchel 333, where the use of the pedal, of the sustain pedal, should be reduced to a minimum. Now I'll play the beginning of a more lyrical piece, the amazing sonata in E-flat major, Köchel 282, where we can successfully use an almost delayed pedaling technique, but of course with certain exceptions. With Beethoven, everything changes. He was the first composer who used the pedals actively in his playing and writing. His music is full of dramatic contrasts, bright colors, and a very important thing, when writing his piano pieces, he was thinking in orchestral terms, using his piano sonata as let's call it a research lab for creating his symphonies. That's why pedaling is so important in playing Beethoven's works. It has not only a sustain function, but also the role of making our instrument sound as an entire symphony orchestra. However, let's not forget that there was an amazing evolution in Beethoven's style. His early piano works remind us of Haydn or Mozart's style, for example, his first sonata. In playing Beethoven's early works, we should use the pedals sparingly as well, just like in playing Mozart. His late works, however, make the transition between the classical and the romantic eras, and the use of the pedals, of course, should be modified accordingly. Beethoven also used the soft pedal, writing una corda each time the use of the soft pedal of the left pedal was needed for changing the timbre of the sound and making it softer. Now I'll play the beginning of the sonata opus 109, and please notice the difference in sonority and pedaling between the sonata, the first sonata that I just played, and this sonata that I'm going to play now. As you see, I used the full delayed pedal, changing it on each new harmony and creating an almost romantic sonority. Now I'll play another fragment from the same sonata opus 109. And can you imagine expressing these wide, powerful brush strokes without the use of the sustain pedal? So we have finally reached the Romantic epoch. The Romantic piano music cannot be played without pedal. Schubert, Chopin, Schumann and Liszt took full advantage of this wonderful invention, the sustain pedal, and created the structure of their pieces accordingly. However, please notice one thing: the harpsichord didn't have a sustain pedal, so the Baroque and the classical composers created a compact musical structure that could be easily connected only by using our fingers. Here is a little example from the charming Sonata in C major by Mozart, Köchel 545. Yes, I'm right. And then I'll compare it to the structure of a romantic piece so you could make the difference. So do you see how compact this structure is and how easy it is to connect it by using only our fingers? In Beethoven's late works and in the works of the Romantic composers, the situation changes. The structure becomes really wide, the arpeggios are covering the entire keyboard, and it's impossible to connect these wide structures without using the sustain pedal. Let me give you an example from Chopin's Nocturne in D-flat major, opus 27. As you saw in Chopin's Nocturne, the pedal is extremely important in playing romantic pieces with a lyrical singing character. By using the delayed pedaling technique, we can improve our phrasing, make a better legato, and of course enrich the entire sonority of the piece. But of course, not all romantic pieces are lyrical. In playing works with a dancing character, we can of course use short simultaneous pedals or even play entire bars without pedal. It all depends on the meaning of the music. Now we have reached the Impressionists. In playing Debussy or Ravel, we have to remember two main things. First, that these composers were deeply influenced by the style of the French harpsichordists. And second, that they created a totally new pianistic structure, inventing new colors of the sound and new uses for the piano pedals. In playing their music, we have to combine in a smart manner, depending on the piece, an accurate sonority with a blurred one, just like in the Impressionist paintings that inspired these composers. And now a little example where I'll use both the soft and the sustain pedals in playing the famous Clair de Lune from Debussy's suite Bergamasque. Of course, the examples that I just gave you cannot cover the amazing complexity of the entire pianistic repertoire. For learning more about the art of pedaling depending on the epoch and the style of the composer, make sure you read my article on the same subject on my site, where I also cover the basics of pedal notation. My name is Ilinka Vartik, thank you for watching, and talk to you soon in another video tutorial on pianocareer.com. Bye bye!